You really get a sense of not only the skill, but the kind of magic at work when you see his Muppet movie posters.
When you wanted a poster, you went to Tony Soniger, and that's what Jim Henson did when he made the first Muppet movie.
Jim Henson and his in-house art director, creative director, Michael Frith, came in to visit me, and they wanted to see some of the work we had done.
He says, walk around and write down the names of the posters that you like, and we'll call in those artists, and you can see their portfolios and pick one to do your poster. So he went around, wrote them all down, came back, and Tony looked at the list and he goes, this will be easy. They're all by the same guy. So I got the job straight away from Jim Henson.
Drew and I went to New York to Henson's Creature Factory.
Being the poor sucker I was, I had never been anywhere but L.A. in my life, so.
He was like a wide-eyed kid. It was really cute.
When you got there, there was always a lot of bustling going on, puppets being built.
We sat around the table, we decided what we wanted to do about the kind of the Run with the Wind theme and the guys in the car. And Jim Henson, after I did one, basically said, you are the Muppet artist. He says, you make them look exactly like I feel about them. I photograph them, they look like puppets on a stick. When I draw them, they look like living beings to him. And so for many years thereafter, I had constant work from Jim.
Jim really loved Drew's work. I know that for a firm fact.
We went on to do, I think, about 4 or 5 more Muppet movies together.
Muppet Caper, then they did the typical thing. This time, let's do something different. Let's make it new, let's make it fresh. I know, let's do it photographically. So they posed all the puppets on a stick and photographed them, and they looked like puppets on a stick. So, hello, can you please draw our poster for us? So he says, we already had the photograph, we already have the concept, just draw it and make it, which became almost the call word for me. Give it your magic.
Drew has this ability to make things jump off the page and put so much more drama and passion into the appearance of them. So there's no argument that anybody with a camera could quite do what Drew did with his posters.
Idle, just a still, it's hard to sense that same kind of life and vibrancy.
You photograph them and they're balls, they're socks. They're stuffed socks with buttons sewn on them, basically. You know, they're done by really creative people, so they fool us. But they're stuffed pieces of sweat sock. But interpreted through Drew Struzan, you believe, for God's sake.
When you see his renderings of Kermit and Fozzie and Miss Piggy and all the other characters in those different groups that he's assembled for the posters, you know, they're incredibly appealing and just as alive as if they were in motion and in action.
I actually just copied the photograph with my taste. Sounds very creative, doesn't it?
Jim was a very serious guy in spite of all his humor. I always felt he was the man with 12 ideas being developed at the same time. He was incredibly complex and a true genius.
He's a sweetheart, kind guy. He couldn't have made the Muppets without actually being that guy, and he was. He's just wonderful.
I don't know if there'll ever be somebody quite like him. No, there won't be. Too bad. But anyway, I'm glad he gave us so much of himself for so long, but it just wasn't long enough.
So it was really one of those grand experiences in my life, and one I recall very dearly, which is why I still let Kermit hang out here when he wants to. I just like him. He's fun.